This is Qtv News. I am Umudu Gajaga and thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. The Ministry of Health today received a supply of medical equipment from Turkey worth over $170 million, which were jointly procured from World Bank and the Gambia government's fund. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has announced that tertiary institutions will reopen on October 14. The Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure on Friday updated the media on the work of various ministries and issues affecting the country at the 10th weekly interministerial press conference. After taking the oath of office at the State House on Thursday, the Gambia's new Youth and Sports Minister, Bakari Waibachi, says young people should take part in decision-making process for the development of the country. In international news, the United Nations World Food Programme has won the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts in combating hunger. Today is the National Day of Uganda and marks the country becoming an independent republic on the 9th of October in 1962 from Britain. And in sports, the Gambia national team, the Scorpions, won by a 1-0 against Congo-Brazzaville in their latest international friendly in Portugal. And still in sports, Gambia midfielder and under-20 and under-23 national team player Modou Cham has signed a professional contract with a Spanish club. Morocco's 1986 FIFA World Cup hero Mohamed Timoumi and Egyptian Mohamed Zakaria are appointed ambassadors for the CAF Total Champions League 2019-2020 final. And now to the local news in detail. Thanks for joining us. Welcome and thanks for joining us. This is Qtv News. The Ministry of Health today received a supply of medical equipment from Turkey worth over $170 million, which were jointly procured from World Bank and the Gambia government's fund. The Minister of Health told the press that the medical items will contribute towards improving healthcare service delivery in the Gambia. Umutulamin Choi reports.
This is the last batch of supply of medical equipment jointly procured from the Gambia government's COVID-19 funds and the World Bank. The supply has brought modern medical equipment, some of which are said to be available for the first time in our health facilities. The items include OB ultrasound machines, patient monitors, autoclaves, oxygen flow meters, biphasic equivalents, washing machines, dryers and other valuable medical equipment. The funds for the procurement of this medical equipment from World Bank is over $77 million and more than $96 million from the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 funds.
These are good quality items. These are state-of-the-art items. These are items that would have been anywhere in any developed country. They all came from Turkey following high quality European standards. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this will go a long way to strengthen our health sector.
This development comes during a health crisis for our constrained healthcare sector, which the Minister of Health says is being strengthened with more medical equipment to combat COVID-19 and improve other medical service deliveries at hospitals around the country.
We have told you well before today that our drive as a ministry and collectively as a government, we're going to leave no stone unturned, inshallah, to make sure that our health facilities and the people of this country get the best of care that they deserve. And that march has started. You have seen the hard work, the sacrifice, the enthusiasm with which the team at the Ministry of Health has been working to ensure that our facilities get the items that we need.
The Ministry of Health names 4 hospitals within the urban and rural areas where some of the ultrasound and digital X-ray machines from this supply will be urgently distributed to. The hospitals are SL Health Center, Bundung Maternity Hospital, Nemban Clinic, and the COVID-19 Treatment Center at Sanatorium.
So for the much talked about COVID-19, 500 million, so you see where part of it is gone. 96 million $493,750 is spent on this equipment. So you know where this amount has gone to. And more equipment are being procured from those funds. And when those funds also arrive, you will see the cost applied to them and you will know where these funds have been used.
The first batch of supply of medical equipment arrived last July from Turkey with a total expenditure of about $3.9 million, more than half of it from the over $500 million of taxpayers' money that were allocated to the Ministry of Health, and the rest a World Bank support for our country. The coronavirus pandemic, like others in history, has put many health systems to a test, pushing many countries like the Gambia to look for solutions to our healthcare problems for today and the future. Mahmoud Lamin Choy, Qtv News.
The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has announced at a press briefing held on Friday that tertiary institutions will reopen on October 14th. Ansumana Isonyasi was there and he files in this report.
This development comes just days after the Basic and Secondary Education Ministry also announced the reopening of schools. Mot Seka, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, says the decision was made following a series of consultations with various stakeholders.
Today I can safely say that that consultation is now over and the government has taken the decision to reopen all tertiary and TVET institutions in this country with effect from Wednesday, the 14th October 2020.
Whilst assuring the ministry's continuous support and guidance, he also urges heads of tertiary institutions to ensure that COVID-19 guidelines are strictly observed.
We have planned to meet at least two institutions, that is GTTI, and no, not GTTI, Gambia College and UTG by next week. It's not only to discuss this issue of flexibility in fees, but also to discuss the issue of overcrowding, because these two institutions have a lot of student population.
Meanwhile, he also revealed that his ministry is in consultation with the Ministry of Finance regarding the possibility of providing financial support to tertiary institutions, especially private schools. On the much talked about relief funds for Gambian students studying abroad, the Permanent Secretary says his ministry has 3 weeks ago effected payment to all embassies, and that about 836 students have already received their support packages. Ansumana Isonyasi for Qtv News.
The Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure on Friday held the 10th weekly interministerial press conference to update the media on the work of the various ministries and issues affecting the country. More in this report.
At the weekly press briefing held virtually, Ibrahim Asila, the Information Minister, informed journalists that the outlook for the 2020 cropping season indicates a mild increase in groundnut production. This, he said, is due to the favorable rains from June to end of August as shown in the Department of Water Resources records. Minister Silla said his own ministry is embarking on a national cybersecurity awareness campaign targeting a wide range of audience nationwide, including the public and private sector as well as civil society. The overall goal, he said, is to have an informed citizenry on cybersecurity issues, including risk, threats, and solutions to safeguard private and critical information and infrastructure of persons and entities.
This initiative is being rolled out through 3 television stations, 6 radio stations, and 6 print media outlets. The overall objective of this campaign is to raise public awareness on cybersecurity and its related issues and strengthen efforts to ensure a safer digital space.
Minister Silla also said the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare is in the final stage of rolling out activities to kickstart the Women's Enterprise Fund. According to him, the project is set to train 200 women and will disburse funds to 100 women beneficiaries in the coming days as part of efforts to support small businesses.
The Women Enterprise Fund is one of the critical poverty alleviation strategies enshrined in the National Development Plan 2018-2021 as strategic priorities and outcome indicators relating to women economic empowerment for sustainable development.
He reveals that the government has contributed a revolving fund of $5 million and $1 million operation cost for the fund. The European Union has also committed to providing complementary support of €3 million to the fund for 2 years. About the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, the minister said the ministry has announced plans and strategies to enhance ongoing efforts to ensure compliance and eliminating the use of plastic bags by December 2020. The ban on the use, production and selling of plastic bags came in effect on the 1st of July 2015.
This first strategy by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Environment to eliminate the use of plastic bags in the Gambia is anchored on a rigorous countrywide sensitization and awareness-raising campaign to be implemented by the National Environment Agency NEA through the utilization of both the print and electronic media.
He went on to say the Ministry of Environment also plans to enhance the recycling of plastic waste by encouraging private sector investors to venture into recycling waste into products like mats and others. And the NEA will facilitate the provision of start-up sites for interested investors. Minister Silla also informs journalists that the Ministry of Health has launched a new micro-air AU9000 vehicle-mounted coal fogging machine, developed specifically for the control of adult mosquitoes, flies and similar pests, using both conventional and water-based insecticides. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
The Gambia's new Youth and Sports Minister, Bakary Waibaji, says today's realities require the active participation of the young people in decision-making process for the development of the country. Aliou Cisse has more on that story.
I, Bakary Waibaji, having been appointed as Minister of Youth and Sports of the Republic of the Gambia, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of the Gambia, according to law, so help me God.
The new Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakary Waibaji, joins President Barrow's cabinet as the youngest minister to be appointed under his administration. Minister Baji previously served as a councillor at the KMC and also contested and lost in the 2018 KM mayoral election the current mayor Ahmed Talib Bensouda. Prior to that, he had also served as program officer at the Child Protection Alliance. Baji's appointment has been welcomed by many, most especially by the young people who knew and worked with him. He had been an active youth leader before he moved to the United States, where he lived with his family. In his acceptance speech after taking the oath of office on Thursday, Baji says he is inspired by the congratulatory messages he has received since the news of his appointment broke on 30th September.
With enormous gratitude for the confidence placed in me by Your Excellency, and with the unwavering resolve to honor that trust, I humbly accept the appointment of Minister of Youth and Sports of our beloved country, the Gambia. I wish to immensely express my deepest respect and sincere appreciation and look forward to working closely and cooperatively with my cabinet colleagues and all other stakeholders in the executions of my functions. It is my considered view that today's realities requires the young people of this country to be identified by their skills, their intellect, their interests, and their healthy lifestyle, so as to actively participate in the public administration and the implementation of our national youth and sport policy with a view to attain the goals and objective of the National Development Plan.
Baji is very much aware of the need to have an empowered youth population and the need to develop sports systems, facilities and infrastructure, which are evidently below the aspirations of the young people and athletes.
It is my wish to turn our youth folk into a leading force of the state to ensure their participation in the solution of the socio-economic development of this country. Equally, it is my sincere desire to attain the maximum participation and excellence in sports and sporting activities at the local and international levels. This we cannot achieve without the right investment and support from Your Excellency the President, from the Cabinet, and from all other stakeholders who are in the areas of sports and youth empowerment. Ultimately, I am hopeful that the youth of this country will grow up knowing that they are the priority of the government of the day, that we are working hard to build a future for them. During my tenure, I will embrace their hopes and their appeals.
As they welcome his appointment, the youth and sports fraternity will be watching and waiting to see what difference the new and youngest minister will bring to these important sectors amidst the many challenges, including inadequate funding. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliou Cisse.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local and international stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. This is Qtv News. While significant steps have been taken to empower women through legislation, as well as vigorous efforts to ensure gender parity, some young people are undertaking endeavors in what have been traditionally male-dominated fields. This report by Mariama Fall is narrated by Ajibintu Drame.
Inasmuch as they are dedicated to work tirelessly towards changing the narrative, nearly half of them are not well known. Thus, these two young women are leading in their area of expertise, despite lack of promotion and the need to feel empowered. Therese Jata, a construction supervisor and designer, who was inspired by her dad, reveals the importance of her work.
As a supervisor, like most people think that it's a waste of time being a supervisor. But if you want to have a correct building and a good finishing, it all starts with the supervisor. Because we do the design, we do the setting out of the plan, and it's from there. What you have on the ground is what determines the finishing. Most of the workers are able to do the work, but understanding the plan and interpreting it is always quite difficult for them, which is why you always have supervisors on the ground to at least help them in whatever ways that they don't understand. Yeah, so that too helps a lot. So let them not see us supervisors as a waste of time or not useful at the site. We have a great use at the site, because if the supervisors are not here, sometimes workers mess up a lot. And it wouldn't be nice you giving a project and then next minute it is not fulfilled to its expectation.
She further explained the challenges she faced being the only female in the field.
They were all supportive. The whole family was supportive. Just that some friends were like, you're smart, you can be a journalist, you can be a lawyer. So why choose this? Because you'll always be under the hot sun. It's a male-dominated area. You'll be working with men 24/7. So that too was a challenge. But because I was so passionate into doing construction, I didn't listen to all that they had to say to me. I was focused on what I wanted to do, and that has really helped me.
She urged the government to support them instead of giving out projects to foreigners. Hadi Sen is a mechanical engineer who demonstrates how she excels in her field.
St. Peter's, because when it comes to technical, they are among the best schools.
It is my love for the job which prompted me to ask my parents to transfer me to St. Peter's in Lamin. When it comes to technical, they are the best.
Hadi Sen also added that the challenge she faced in the past was that GTTI was the only institution providing further mechanical engineer studies, and the institution sometimes lack equipment and even lecturers, which affects their progress in some subjects. Getting scholarships, the preference for employing men over women, and giving jobs to foreigners is another challenge, she said. Research shows girls begin to lose confidence in science, technology, engineering and math. STEM subjects at age of 15, some fear that by being in male-dominated fields, they will be sexually abused unlike their male peers. The lack of confidence is also caused by the lack of recruitment by employers, stereotypes and implicit bias. In the Gambia, even though women account for more than 50% of the population, they are still unrepresented in these fields. Some women reveal that being a minority in STEM make them feel accomplished, as everyone has a gift which they can express given equal opportunities. The challenge is, how do we encourage and engage more girls to pursue science, technology, engineering and math? Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
The National Youth Council, in collaboration with the United Nations system in the Gambia and local department partners, organized a community consultation on Tuesday on the UN 75 dialogue about various issues affecting communities.
The event sought to bring together key community stakeholders to discuss the current situation of the coronavirus and its impact on development, and to discuss the challenges faced by vulnerable groups including youth and women, persons living with disabilities, among others. At the opening ceremony, the FAO country representative, Mushabit Rampedi, spoke on behalf of UN country representative Serafin Wakana.
Today is a very important day because we are here to hear you, to listen to you under the umbrella of the Common Country Assessment, further noting that 2020 is a very special year for the United Nations. It's important to always consult as the United Nations so that we program correctly for the countries that we assist. As we reflect today, I hope that we will find an opportunity together to define the future that we want. Not only that, but to ask the key questions, such as where are we? Are we on track? Have we done enough to bridge the gap, to address inequality? And all this that we will be doing, it's important because it will allow the United Nations to plan better. And the next planning time frame that we're looking at is what can we do together.
The program officer of the National Youth Council, Kausu Silla, said the program is meant to improve the livelihood of people by involving the vulnerable women and youth around the Senegambia Bridge.
We are here in the context of the UN 75 anniversary celebration. This year, 2020, marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. But it also marks a year where UN is consulting with the communities on the progress that the UN has made since the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015, and also the adoption of the UN Development Assistance Framework known as UNDAF.
The governor of URR, Sambaba, highlighted the importance of the dialogue, saying that the activity is in line with government's agenda to achieve the targets of the National Development Plan.
In any country, you have your development plan, and the development plan is always deduced from the Sustainable Development Goals. That is why the Gambia is on track. That is why we have the National Development Plan. And when you look at the National Development Plan, it's a composition of what is being taken from the Sustainable Development Goals, so that at government level, this will be the role of government to make sure that they implement the projects that are supposed to be in line with the Sustainable Development Goal.
UN 75 Dialogue seeks to collect feedback or recommendations on the draft proposals for localizing the Sustainable Development Goals. It provides an opportunity for the public to add their views, suggestions, or aspirations regarding the operation of UN and delivery for the decade of Action 2030. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alaji F. Jallo.
And now to other news. The mayor of KMC, Ahmed Talib Bensouda, on Thursday presided over the inauguration of the newly constructed $14 million Latrikunda Sabiji market. Babukar C was there and he has the story.
The newly constructed market, a partnership between the council and Gamworks, has been designed to create a conducive environment for vendors and customers. According to the mayor, the project is part of a $110 million fund that the KMC will use to build and refurbish key development areas within the municipality. The president of the Latrikunda Market, Badufal, thanked the mayor for providing them with the structure and one of the best markets in the country. The building is solid, but no matter how beautiful the structure is, I would love to be waking up every morning, come to the market, and see people of Latrikunda working here and operating these shops. The promise made to us was that the people whose old shops were demolished will be given shops in the newly built market. I have no doubt that the KMC will fulfill this promise. We express our appreciation and thanks to Talib Bensouda for coming to our rescue with this beautiful structure. Ansumana Bayo, the ward councillor, said a lot was said when part of the old market was demolished. Thank God, vendors will now be operating from high-standard shops for decades to come. I want to base my speech on the allocation of these shops to the market vendors. Many things were said about the allocation of the shops when completed, and I want to assure everyone here we will fulfill the promise we made at the beginning. When we were demolishing the old market, there were people with shops in this area, and God willing, we will give them each a shop from the newly built ones. The Director General of Gamworks, Ibrahim Cham, said his office is pleased to partner with KMC in turning the municipality into a standard city.
To inform you that Latrikunda Sabi Market have been built to modern standards. It has 2 building blocks with 70 canteen shops and 2 offices on 2 floors. It has also got 485 meters squared of concrete pavement, which can accommodate a number of vendors. The market will provide employment opportunities and easy access to fresh food products for the local community. The total cost of the market is about $14 million. Please join me in congratulating the Lord Mayor, Talib Bensouda, for making Latrikunda Market a private investment for Kanifing Municipal Council.
The Lord Mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, said the inauguration of the market is the beginning of a series of projects that will include roads and the Bundung Maternity Ward renovation.
This is part of our $110 million project with Gamworks that encompasses many projects including roads, Bundung Maternity Ward, our town hall at KMC, and of course the beautiful Latrikunda Savage Market. We are very grateful to the partnership of Gamworks under the leadership of Mr. Ibrahim Cham, and we look forward to many projects in the future.
The newly inaugurated market has 70 shops, and the KMC is planning to build 100 more shops in the same market. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
We will take another short commercial break and we continue with international and sports news when we return. Do stay tuned. Welcome back and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. Now to international news. The United Nations World Food Programme has won the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for its effort in combating hunger. This report by Marie-Louise Ensanyang is narrated by Ansumana Sonyasi.
The need for international solidarity and multilateral cooperation is more conspicuous than ever. The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to the World Food Programme for its efforts to combat hunger.
The world's largest humanitarian organization was awarded the prize on Friday for what the awards committee said was its contribution towards improving conditions for peace in conflict-affected areas and for acting as a driving force in efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict. This year's Peace Prize was the 101st to be awarded. There were 318 candidates, according to the Nobel Institution. The Nobel Peace Prize aims to combat hunger and promote peace in the world and has been awarded since 1901. Last year's award went to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for his efforts to achieve peace with neighboring Eritrea. American President Donald Trump had hinted that he should have been awarded for brokering that deal. He would have also expected to win this year after it was revealed he was among the nominees for mediating a peace deal between Israel and the UAE. However, it may have come too late in the year for consideration. The chairwoman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, Berit Reiss-Andersen, said until the day we have a medical vaccine, food is the best vaccine against chaos. Reiss-Andersen said the committee gave the award to the WFP because of its efforts in combating hunger and its contribution towards creating peace in conflict-affected areas by driving as a force in efforts to prevent the use of hunger as a weapon of war and conflict. Adding that in countries such as Yemen, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, South Sudan and Burkina Faso, the combination of violent conflict and the pandemic has led to a dramatic rise in the number of people living on the verge of starvation. According to the UN's organization in June, the biggest humanitarian response in history was made by WFP ramping up the number of people it assists to 138 million from a record of 97 million in 2019. Along with enormous prestige, the prize comes with a 10 million korona cash award and a gold medal to be handed out at a ceremony in Oslo on 10th December, at the anniversary of the prize founder Alfred Nobel's death. This year's ceremony will be scaled down due to the pandemic.
The work of the World Food Programme to the benefit of humankind is an endeavour that all nations of the world should be able to endorse and support.
Ansumana Sonyasi for Qtv News.
Today is the National Day of Uganda and marked the country becoming an independent republic on the 9th of October 1962 from Britain. We take a look at the colonial past and present of the country in this report.
Owing to the COVID-19, there will be no traditional fanfare to mark the day. According to the Uganda Media Center, a few VIPs will join the president at State House Entebbe to celebrate, and the program will be aired on TV and radio throughout the day. Uganda, with a population of 43 million according to a 2018 census, is a landlocked country in East Central Africa and sits on a central plateau covered by rainforests. It has high volcanic mountains to the eastern and western borders. Its neighbors include South Sudan to the north, Kenya to the east, Tanzania and Rwanda down south, and the Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. Kampala is the capital city and English is the official language. However, Swahili and Luanda are the lingua franca of inter-ethnic communication. Winston Churchill described the country as the Pearl of Africa because of the country's profuse biodiversity, stunning landscapes, crystal clear lakes, and many other unique environmental attributes. Its top tourist attractions include the Buindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Ruwenzori Mountain National Park, amongst others. The country is known for its tea, tobacco, and cotton production. Edward Mutisa was the first president, and the country has had 8 other presidents since, including the infamous Idi Amin, who took over power from Milton Obote, the country's first prime minister in a military coup in 1971 and ruled until 1979. His 8-year rule, described by many as chaotic and brutal, came to an end when Tanzanian and anti-Amin Ugandan forces toppled his regime and replaced him with the person he had disposed. Amin escaped to Libya, eventually settling in Saudi Arabia, where he died in August 2003. The deaths of 300,000 Ugandans are attributed to Idi Amin. The current president has been in power since 1986, and some critics have accused him of suppressing political opposition and making amendments to the constitution to enable him extend his rule. Ugandan cuisine consists of traditional and modern cooking styles with English, Arab, and Asian influences. One of the most popular dishes is matoke, a mouth-watering staple made by bananas, accompanied with millet bread, cassava, sweet potatoes, chicken or beef stew. Uganda is also known for her amazing talents and sportsmanship. Recently, Joshua Cheptegei became the most decorated Ugandan runner after he won the men's 10,000 meters gold at the IAAF World Athletics Championships in Doha, Qatar. And in August, he took Bekele's 5,000 meters record at the Diamond League meeting in Monaco. Happy independence to Uganda. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
And in sports, the latest is the Gambia Scorpions won by a 0-0, a goal scored by Asan Cisse in their friendly international against Congo-Brazzaville in Portugal. And they will again play on Tuesday against Guinea-Silly National on Tuesday in Portugal, and we'll give you updates about that. Still in other sports, Gambian midfielder and under-20 and under-23 national team player Mamadou Cham has signed a professional contract with the Spanish Segunda Division B side, and we are going to get more on that story.
Mamadou Cham, fondly called Dad, signed a 3-year contract for the Andalusian-based club. The club announced his addition after he was scouted in March 2020. Cham is joining us and will be training with the first team under Antonio Calderon, the club announced on their official website. According to the team website, the new signing is welcome and is part of the family of Real Balombidika, which is the work of the club scouting network since our president Rafaela Pandolon arrived in January 2018. Usman Drame, the CEO of BK Milan, said even though Mamadou is already in Spain and training with his teammates, he may not be in position to play now, because his TMS, transfer matching system, was not cleared by the time of European deadline for the registration of players, and that means he will only play after the January window. Mamadou Cham's teammates at Real Balombidika Linens, known as La Balona, will begin their season away to Marino on 18th October 2020.
Morocco's 1986 FIFA World Cup hero Mohamed Toumoumi and Egyptian Mohamed Zakaria are appointed ambassadors for the CAF Total Champions League 2019-2020 final, scheduled for the 6th of November 2020. More in this report.
Mohamed Toumoumi was born in Rabat and played for US Tuagra at the age of 18 before moving to FAR Rabat in 1984, where he won the African Cup of Champions Club, now CAF Champions League, in 1985. Mohamed Toumoumi was named African Footballer of the Year in 1985 and was the last player to win this award while playing club football in Africa. Toumoumi played for Morocco at the 1984 Summer Olympics. He had 67 caps and 10 goals for his country. Mohamed Toumoumi and Abdul Aziz Boudarbala excelled during the 1986 FIFA World Cup in Mexico, where the Atlas Lions became the first African side to reach the second round of the World Cup, which earned him a move to Spanish side Murcia. The following year, he moved to Belgium, where he played for Lokeren before returning to Morocco in 1989 to play for OC Kurigba. Toumoumi also played for Al Suwaik in Oman before retiring at FAR Rabat in 1995. Toumoumi was in 2006 selected by CAF as one of the best 200 African players of the last 50 years. Mohamed Zakaria was born in Egypt on 12 April 1988 and started his trade as a youth player for Al Hayli before moving to El Habri in 2009. Zakaria also played for Al Masri and NP in Egypt. In 2013, he played for Zamalek on loan and won 2 Egyptian Cup titles. Al Ahli, Zakaria won 4 Egyptian Premier League titles with the Red Devils. Zakaria also had a loan spell in Saudi Arabia with Ahli Al Saudi FC in Jeddah in 2018, playing only 6 matches before moving to Ohad Club, a Saudi Arabian professional football club based in Medina, which competes in the Pro League. In 2020, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, a disease that affects the nerve cells.
Before we end this bulletin of the news, let's have a quick look at our main news stories. The Ministry of Health today received a supply of medical equipment from Turkey worth over $170 million, which were jointly procured from World Bank and Gambia government's funds. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology has announced on Friday that tertiary institutions will reopen on October 14th. The Minister of Information, Communication and Infrastructure on Friday updated the media on the work of various ministries and issues affecting the country at the 10th Weekly Interministerial Press Conference. After taking the oath of office at the State House on Thursday, the Gambia's new Youth and Sports Minister Bakary Waibaji says young people should take part in decision-making process for the development of the country. In international news, the United Nations World Food Programme has won the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts in combating hunger. And today is Uganda's National Day and marks the country becoming an independent republic on the 9th of October 1962 from Britain. And in sports, the latest is the Gambia Scorpions won by 1-0, a goal scored by Hassan Cisse in their friendly international against Congo-Brazzaville in Portugal, and they will play a subsequent friendly international match on Tuesday against the Sili National of Guinea. And still on other sports news, Gambian midfielder and under-20 and under-23 national team player Mamadou Cham has signed a professional contract with a Spanish Segunda B side. And finally, in sports, Morocco's 1986 FIFA World Cup hero Mohamed Toumoumi and Egyptian Mohamed Zakaria are appointed ambassadors for the CAF Total Champions League 2019-2020 final. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching and have a pleasant night. Thank you.